Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm MJ and this is Reading After Dark, and today we're going to be doing my review of the Kobo Libra color. I wanted to say a big, huge thank you so much for everybody who watched that video that I did, the Kindle drop video. It was really crazy to see that like so many people watched it and a lot of you really liked it and a lot of you responded, which was really awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you. This is a little bit of a follow-up because some of you did seem interested in hearing my more in-depth thoughts about the Kobo, so that's what this is. I wrote up a bunch of notes and I have like 14 pages of notes, so I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, probably in editing. Okay, hi, it's me. Really quick. I have been editing for like days and hours and I'm very tired, but I realized while editing this video that I think it would just be best to split it into two parts. There's a very like natural split in the video. So if you're interested in all of the library integration and library information, that is going to be in part 2. So check out part 2 if that's what you're interested in, but like just general Kobo review and like all the things there, this video, part 1. Yay. So enjoy. Okay, there are a couple of like housekeeping things that I did want to point out really quick, especially if you did watch that video. If you haven't seen it yet, please do go watch it. If you did watch it, there were a couple things I got wrong and a lot of you pointed that out in the comments and I do really appreciate that. So one, the sticky note does not cover any of the words. Like the way I was envisioning it is that the sticky note would like sit there and then you'd move it out of the way. But no, the words like reorient themselves around the sticky note, which I still don't love. And I think that's just for me personally. I could see the page getting really messy with like too many sticky notes and words working in, you know, kind of a certain way. So like I don't really love that, but I do think it is better than having the sticky note just like sitting, you know, over the words. And then there are kind of margins from what I can see. They like pop up on the side and you can kind of write in the side, but there is still no writing like in the actual book on the Kindle Scribe. So I just wanted to clarify that. You can also get the stylus with the Kindle Scribe. I said that you had to buy it separately. I didn't realize that you did get it with the Kindle Scribe, which is really cool because like a lot of places don't really do that anymore. A lot of places like will always make you buy accessories separately. So that is kind of nice. It does like help the pricing a little bit. It's still kind of expensive, but I like, you know, that helps a little bit. And then finally, a lot of you mentioned Calibre or Calibre. I guess I should look up the pronunciation of that. Shit. Hold, please.
Calibre.
Oh, it's Calibre. Well, now I feel really stupid. I don't know why I want to like say Calibre. Calibre. Been using Calibre. Oh, look at this. There's a Reddit post about it. Oh god, this is such a waste of time. Oh, nothing else is Calibre. Oh, okay. Okay, so apparently, so the app is called Calibre. My uber bad. So anyways, a lot of people were mentioning Calibre in the comments in terms of like moving your Amazon books over to the Kobo. Some people even mentioned it in regards to saving annotations. We are going to talk about that a little bit. I don't want this to be specifically a video about a lot of those more technical things. I really do want it to be like a Kobo review. So I'm going to like briefly talk about it because there was a lot of discussion about it in the comments, but I did want to note that here at the beginning that I missed it kind of in that video, but I will mention it here. So again, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watched. I really, really appreciate it. Your support like means everything. It really, really does. For those of you who didn't see that last video, like I said, please do go watch it. Just really quickly, essentially all it boils down to is I was really looking forward to the Amazon release of their color Kindle. And then when it finally did happen, I was really disappointed. So that's just kind of like me a little bit ranting about it in that video is like why I was so disappointed. And I mentioned the Kobo and that's kind of what brought us here. I also want to say, I know that there are other e-readers out there and some people mentioned them, like books, I think is one that people mentioned, but I only have experience with Kindle and Kobo, but literally I only have experience with the Kobo Libra color. So everything that I say today about the Kobo is only in regards to that device. There are other Kobo devices, but I cannot say if some of these things are true for those devices as well. There's a couple of like small things in this device that are a little funky, but I don't know if that's because this one is like the colored device and they're trying to work around that or if all Kobos work this way. So just keep that in mind if in case like you're interested in other Kobo devices in general. So I wanted to talk really quickly about why I specifically specifically bought the Kobo. I know that I'm in the vast minority of people here when it comes to like these really specific desires. I specifically bought the Kobo because I was really interested in a colored e-reader and in the annotation capabilities. I didn't buy the Kobo with the specific intent to leave the Kindle behind. I kind of always thought I was going to swing back around and get the color Kindle whenever it comes out. I was more just excited about these new features and was interested in trying them than I was about actually like moving out of the Amazon system. Henry, I need you to chill, okay? Thank you. I knew that Amazon would release like a colored device eventually, but I was just feeling a little impatient. I was like, I don't know when that's going to be. And I'm like really excited about these features, so I don't think I want to wait for it. I'm just going to get the Kobo. I also have been nearly exclusively a library user since 2020. So when I was watching reviews of the Kobo, everybody was talking about like the amazing library integration and how it is the device for library users. And I was like, well, that's me. I have 3 library cards and I utilize them all. So that's perfect. I mean, I'll basically just buy the Kobo and then I'll like never have to buy a book on the Kobo because I'll just use the library all the time. So I was like, yeah, it's like really excessive for me to have this device, but it's kind of for like the fun of it. Let's talk about Calibre. A lot of people recommended this to me or mentioned it in the comments. And this is supposed to help you remove I believe it's called the DRM, which is on Amazon Books. And it makes it so that you can't like share them or really like do anything with them. It keeps them in the Amazon ecosystem and it makes it so you can't like move files anywhere. This is also probably a really good time to point out that I am not like a tech person. So if at any point in this review I get something like tech related wrong, I do deeply apologize. I tried my best. So with Calibre, you can remove the DRM and then you can take those files and like move them over to the Kobo. Some people said it was actually really easy. Some people said it's a fast process, but worth it. Like there were just a lot of opinions. But when I was looking up Calibre like for this video, there was some debate even like in the comments about this. And I found when I was trying to look this up, I actually found a Reddit forum that I'm going to link down below because as when I saw it, it was only like a day old. So it's probably only like 2 days old now. People were talking about Calibre and how like the new iteration of Kindles aren't going to work with Calibre anymore. It's like Amazon wised up and figured out that they don't want people doing this anymore. And so that could be a huge hindrance to a lot of people. It's really frustrating. I think Amazon sucks for being the way that Amazon is, but I do encourage you to go check out that forum, check out the article. There's an article linked at the top that the person brought up. And so I'll link that article as well if you don't want to go to the Reddit forum. But I think that's a great place if this is a thing that you're super interested in. I thought the forum was interesting because it's super new and people like all over who are more familiar with the app than I am were discussing it and you know how to go around it or anything like that. And so, but it does sound like from what I read and from what I can understand, when you plug in the new Kindles into a laptop or a computer, they don't pop up as external hard drives anymore. And so you can't actually pull anything off of them to work in Calibre, sorry. So that seems kind of messy, but it does seem like older Kindle devices, you can still do this. I guess, you know, kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I'll link that forum so that you can kind of stay updated and check that stuff out if you're interested or if that's like a really important feature for you. It's one of those things where like Amazon does suck. It's kind of one of our first points in favor of Kobo here that like, Amazon is very Amazon centric. They want you to stay with Amazon. So you don't have a lot of great success of getting different kinds of files on the Kindle, but on the Kobo, you can get lots of different files on it. And I know a lot of people really love that it seems to be a little bit more maybe user friendly isn't the term, but like it cares less about you being stuck with a Kobo ecosystem, which is really cool. Okay, so let's actually get into like the Kobo itself and like how it works and if you'll like it, figure it out. So I want to start with like the usability of it. And honestly, it is pretty much the same setup as a Kindle. There's a lot of things about them that are very similar. I don't think like jumping from a Kindle to a Kobo, it's not like I had to figure out a whole new ecosystem or anything like that. It was very streamlined, very similar. I will say say that like a huge point in favor of the Kobo is I love the layout of the homepage. It is such a small thing, but on the Kindle, you have the homepage and at the very top, you have like all of the books you're currently reading or whatever. And then immediately under that is just like rows and rows of books that you can buy from the store. Like it's constantly trying to send you to the store. I feel like Amazon is constantly trying to sell you something, which really annoys me because I pay the extra $30 to have the ad-free Kindle. And I still feel like even though there's technically no ads, like why am I constantly being bombarded with things that I don't want? Whereas the Kobo homepage is very clean, very streamlined. You similarly have like a currently reading at the top, and then you have like, oh, browse books with your library or check out your library holds. Like there's nothing there that's constantly trying to encourage you to purchase something, which I think is really annoying. On the front of the Kobo store versus the Kindle store, so this is kind of funny and really annoying, but I went to get footage of the Kobo store and the Kindle store to like show you how much nicer the Kobo store is. And then my Kindle was like an update to the Kindle store, and it doesn't work anymore. Like it's completely like white screen. I never got it to actually, let's see if it works now. I couldn't get it to work last night to show you. Let's see if there was any like actual progress. It could be that my Kindle is so old. Oh no. It could be that my Kindle's so old that they just decided to like remove the Kindle store from the Oasis. Oh, and it did work. Okay. Well, I'll show you here then. So this is what the Kindle store looks like all the time. It's so boring. I like really hate it. Oh my God, it's so slow for some reason. The Kindle store sucks. I hate it. Oh yeah, okay. I hate the Kindle store. So the Kobo store is really nice. It has a great layout. It's actually interesting. And there's like a recommended for you section or like based on things that you've read. And I've found that section is actually super accurate. Like honestly, when it comes to recommended sections, typically I think they're like really kind of bad, but the Kobo one is actually really solid. The actual like Kobo store is really fun to navigate and kind of cool. I did actually get the Kindle store working and it does look a little different. But it still doesn't like excite me. I've never used the Kindle store before. Let's go to best books of 2024 so far. It's so slow for some reason. Yeah. But then when you click on it, it's just this like list of books and then you just kind of scroll down. I don't know. It's just not a very fun user experience. I've never liked the Kindle stores ever. I've never used them. I've always purchased my books online and then just had them like uploaded to the Kindle. I've always actually purchased them in my phone app, which doesn't work anymore, unfortunately, because everybody's really greedy. But yeah, so I just wanted to point out that like the store experiences are so much better. I don't ever shop on my e-reader, but I would shop on the Kobo because that is just such a like seamless and nice process. Oh, I also wanted to point out here that I think the night mode feature is a little bit lacking on the Kobo, if this is like a big feature for you. And I don't know if this is because of the color aspect, but when you do go to night mode, and it does kind of take a little bit to find. If you were trying to go from like the home page, it's a little bit easier in book, but it's not so seamless. The night mode on the Kobo does not change the whole Kobo to night mode. It only changes the book that you're reading, which for me is kind of a nightmare because if I'm reading at nighttime and I want to like switch between books, then you're like getting used to reading in the dark and then all of a sudden it's like bam, just like color and brightness everywhere. Whereas on the Kindle, the whole Kindle goes dark and the whole Kindle has a night mode. Again, I don't know if this is because of the color aspect of the Kobo, but I did think that was like interesting to point out. I did want to mention that. In terms of other things like changing font, size, how the book looks, all of it's pretty good. I would say like changing the font is pretty easy. They've got lots of different fonts. You can change like the weight of the font. It's like kind of basically the boldness. It like makes it, some of the words a little bit darker. And I actually do kind of utilize this because I do find sometimes that in the right kind of light, the contrast of like black and white on the Kobo isn't always the greatest. And so I do find myself like adjusting that weight to help that a little bit. And I did find after playing around with the fonts and the weight and stuff that making those adjustments is actually a huge help. And it does like make things easier to read and it does does make things look a little crisper and nicer sometimes. So, you know, if you're like feeling frustrated with that, definitely mess around with those settings. The actual reading experience on the Kobo is not too different. Definitely reading is super involved, so it's not that complicated. It is still like honestly a really good experience. I really like it. I like the analytics and stuff. Like the Kobo shows you like different stats, like how long you've been reading the book and just kind of fun stuff like that. And I do think it's really fun. It does make it more of like, it makes it feel a little bit more like a reader experience, just because, you know, sometimes it's fun to know those stats. At the top, it shows you how many pages are left in the chapter. I don't know if you can see that. And then at the bottom, it shows you just like, you know, pages in the book and where you're at. So I do kind of like that. I think that's nice. It's a very small thing. I think that's honestly at the end of the day, the thing between like the Kobo and the Kindle, the just general reading experience, it's a lot of little small things that I really like about the Kobo that again make it feel more like a reader friendly device. But the Kindle is a little more premium. I'll talk about that in just a second, but I do want to point out the buttons like really quickly. So I thought it was really funny. In the comments, there were people who like love the buttons, who were right there with me and thought it was like so tragic that the Oasis isn't being offered anymore. And then there were some people who were like super anti-button. They like hated the buttons. It was really interesting to see how like that was a really dividing point between people. So I'm really curious, like you let me know if you're a button person or a not button person. I really love the button feature. I do think that the experience of reading between the Kindle and the Kobo, there's a noticeable lag in the Kobo. And this is a little bit kind of where we get into that level of like, I don't know if it's just because this is the new device and the color side, or if all Kobos are like this, but there is some lag and I have some B-roll of that, so hopefully I'm showing you that there. But with the Kindle, everything is pretty fast and there's not a lot of like need to refresh, but the Kobo does refresh a lot, especially when you're annotating. We'll talk about annotating in a second, but it's kind of slow. It is noticeable. It's not a huge hindrance to my reading experience. It's not something that I personally like am really bothered by, but I could see that being a big point for some people. So I did want to just show that and point that out. The actual like color aspect, I love the color. This has been a feature I've been super excited to see on e-readers for a really long time. So I'm like super jacked about it. I really like it, even if it does make things a little slow, even if the colors are more pastel-y and they're not as vibrant, I still really love it. Now, for my graphic novel readers out there, I also had other people point out really quickly things like cookbooks, art books, children's books. Yes, absolutely. All of those things, super valid. Like all of those things are great for having a color device for. I still kind of err on the side of, if I'm going to read those types of books, I want it to be on a bigger device. That's a personal preference. So I will lean towards the iPad for things like cookbooks. I do also have a couple of art books on my Kindle through my Kindle. So I'll grab those on the iPad. Graphic novels, I personally like to read on the iPad because I think the colors are just crisper and more vibrant. But I did want to show some examples. So I didn't have any graphic novels on my Kobo at the moment, but I did have like Trust of the Emerald Sea. So I threw, so you can see those like pastel-y colors and how they look. The graphic novel that I did have though was in black and white, and I wanted to show you, for people who are big graphic novel people, if this is going to be a feature that bothers you. I saw that in some of the black backgrounds, there's like a rainbowy kind of coloring thing. I really hope that you can see it on camera. I don't know what that is or why that is. There is a setting where you can like fix the rainbow effect, but I honestly couldn't tell if that was really doing anything. It mentioned that it just more had to do with refresh rate. So like, I don't really know if it did anything to help that, but I wanted to point that out for my graphic novel people because I don't know if that's going to be something that bothers you when you do go to read like manga or like a graphic novel that's basically just in black and white anyway. I hope that helps you if you're on that side of things. I do think the Kobo is kind of small for you know, those kinds of things. But again, that is all personal preference. I also was reading, this is kind of new, and I don't know how this is going to affect like other graphic novels or cookbooks or anything like that. But in terms of formatting, I did notice I was reading, I'm rereading The Way of Kings, and I have it on my Kobo. So I was, reading that today. And if you've read Way of Kings, you know that there's like illustrations in it, and they always take up one full page. But for some reason, the Kobo, I did adjust like the font and stuff. So I don't know if me adjusting the font made the book kind of wonky, but I did notice it didn't like take up the full page, and there was actually a sentence above the illustration. And I was like, that's not really what's supposed to happen. That's not what that's supposed to look like. So I was a little like annoyed with that, to be honest. And I don't know how that's going to work for things like children's books or like children's chapter books that have like big illustrations in them or pictures, and how that's all going to format out. So if that's like a really big point for you, maybe just like look into that a little bit more and like see, maybe there will be some other videos out there of people reading like children's books on the Kobo or something. But I just thought I'd point that out or mention it. The annotations. So I had so much fun annotating in the Kobo. I think it is such a fun experience. I think when it comes to physical books, I get a little too wrapped up in the aesthetic of annotating. I want my books to be these like beautifully annotated with like cute little doodles and like colored tabs and like all these things. I just get really, really into it. But with the Kobo or any kind of e-reader, I think that's why I'm drawn to annotating on e-readers more, because I am able to kind of let go of that aesthetic ideal, and I can just annotate in different colors, highlight, I can scribble in the margins. I had so much fun. But I will say it is not super seamless. It is still kind of awkward. It's still obviously in the beginning phases. This is, the first iteration of this kind of device. And I do hope that as we get more and more of these devices, this experience will be tightened up a bit. There is a lot of refreshing, so that can be kind of annoying, especially if you're in the middle of writing a long annotation and it decides to refresh on you in the middle of that. That can be really annoying. The highlighting is actually kind of tricky to highlight exactly what you want. I did a comparison with the Kindle, like highlighting on the Kindle versus highlighting on the Kobo. It is actually kind of an awkward experience, and sometimes it can be really hard to be like, no, I didn't want to highlight that sentence, I just wanted to highlight the one above it, and like it can be a little awkward to fix. If you also are trying to erase an annotation and you accidentally clip the highlight, it will erase the whole highlight. So as much fun as I had with the annotation aspect, I did find myself spending a lot of time adjusting highlights and fixing annotations and re-highlighting things that accidentally got deleted. So it's not the cleanest of experiences, even though I still had like a really fun time utilizing it. Oh, I also I didn't realize this until recently, so I wanted to get a little shot of it, but they also have sticky notes, which I think are really cute. They do the same thing as like the Kindle sticky notes, the older Kindle sticky notes, where they like sit in the little corner. But these ones, because it's colored, they like are colored to match the highlight, which I thought was really cute. It's a very, very small detail, but I really liked it. So I just made a dumb little sticky note and threw some letters in there to like show you guys. But then when I went to delete the sticky note, it deleted the whole highlight as well. And I was like, well, shit. So the whole experience definitely needs some tightening, but it's still fun and like a really cool feature. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still gonna use it. I still really love it. In line with the highlighting, let's talk about the notebook features, because obviously with a device that you can write in, you have notebooks, which is really cool. I do not use notebooks very often. So this is something that like I do kind of want to use more, but similar to the annotating, I think it's important to note that these notebooks also need kind of a lot of tightening up. They're a little rough. So if you are a big notebook person and you like to take notes in a notebook while you're reading in a book, I think the experience is seamless in moving from notebook to book. You can pull down a tab at the top of the Kobo like while you're reading, or while you're doing anything really, and it will show you the last like 3 things that you've opened. So it's really easy to go like, oh, I want to make this note in the notebook, click on the notebook, go over there, make a note, pull it down, down, click on the book you were reading, and go right back to it. So I think that integration is really nice. It's very user-friendly. Actual experience of writing in the notebook, though, is a little rough, needs some tightening. Please, I got some B-roll of this. I will say I do apologize for my handwriting. It's very, very janky. And also don't pay too much attention to the words that I was writing. I was literally just like writing random nonsense just to show you what it is like in real time to write in these notebooks and whether the experience is nice, because it's kind of not. When I was opening up the notebook to show you some stuff, I saw that there's now like an advanced notebook that will move your text or your writing into text, which is kind of cool. There's some gestures that you can use, like you can circle a word to highlight it. So there's little things you can use, different notebook styles. Apparently you can start creating diagrams and stuff in them. So they're very, if using notebooks is a really big deal for you, it does seem like Kobo is working hard to make that a more interesting and dynamic feature. As someone who is not super big into the notebook side of things, I just feel like the notebook feature for me, it was not great enough to inspire me to continue to try and use the notebooks. Like, I think I even caught this on camera, but I was trying to write like out a note and it kept refreshing on me, and then it would refresh and like delete a couple of the letters. It was just kind of a weird experience. And some of that was like, I don't know if I'm because they've started adding like, if you gesture a certain way, we'll like do X, Y, or Z. And I don't know if it's like I was just inadvertently doing a gesture that erased something or what, but the experience was a little clunky and I didn't love it. Like, I'm not running to the notebooks all the time to use them. So again, if that's another like really big feature for you, I think it needs more tightening than the actual like annotating in book, which is why for me, the actual like writing in the book is such a big point, because if I couldn't write in the book and I had to rely on those notebooks, I think I would be way more frustrated with the Kobo experience. I think that the Kobo is a great device. I love the Kobo. I've loved the experience of reading on it. The annotation was so much fun. The color is great, even if it's not perfect yet. It's a great like first color device. I really, really loved it. If you're looking to get a Kobo over a Kindle, I don't think that you're going to be unhappy with it unless you're that specific minority person like me. Then yeah, you're probably going to be a little frustrated with it. But honestly, for most people, the Kobo is going to be like a great alternative. And honestly, if you're someone who's moving from the Kindle, especially specifically the Kindle Oasis to the Kobo, I think you're going to notice some of the smaller details that like less premium feel, some of the slower like moving pace of the Kobo. You're going to notice those little things, and it's going to be up to you as to whether or not that's a deal breaker, because we all have personal preferences, and sometimes those little things matter more to some people and less to others. For me, I've found that like while they are super noticeable, it doesn't kill the experience, but it's also not enough for me to like get rid of my Kindle Oasis and be like, I'm for sure a Kobo girly now. Like, even library stuff aside, I still love my Kindle Oasis. I still use it a lot, but I also really like the Kobo. So it's really it's up to you at this point. What you like, what you prefer, where you want to go. Let me know in the comments down below if this video did help you choose between them. That would be really cool. If there were some things that I missed, I tried really hard. Like I said, I really do use e-readers like just to read, so I'm sure there's a lot of features that I might have missed on the Kobo. If you want to put those in the comments down below. For the tech side of things, if you have more insight into that, I would be really interested. Let me know in the comments down below if I got something wrong. I do super apologize, but feel free to put it down there, and I will see you guys again soon with another video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for your support in the last video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and again, let me know all of your thoughts. I can't wait to hear them. Bye.